Ever been listening to your favorite podcast and think, hey, I want to start my own? Then you need Anchor. It's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First, everyone's favorite word free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can even make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Hello, my beautiful people, and welcome back to my podcast. I do want to apologize to. Lord, girl, get your words together. I want to apologize for missing last week's episode because my sister was moving out, so there was a lot of commotion going on in my house, doors banging, stuff slamming, so there was no way I was going to be able to record in that environment. But today's episode, it's nothing nice. I hate to say it, but I really have nothing nice to say. And really, it's a 2-for-1 special because I can do both books in this one episode. Um, and the author that I'm talking about is Londyn Lenz. Um, and I think I know for a fact I reviewed one of her books before. It was a 3-part series. Um, what is it? His Gangsta Love Save Me, something like that. And okay, let me lead with love because I believe in that series that I reviewed before, I've said that Londyn is one of my guilty pleasures. I read her books because I like how obsessive she makes her couples about each other, more so the male about his woman. I do like that and I can read that. But the last 2 series that she put out, they have been terrible. I I just got to put it out there. It is what it is. They have been terrible. The last series I believe was about high school couples, and somebody had left a comment because sometimes I do go read reviews on books just to see how people feel, and I'll still read it for myself because maybe I have a different opinion. So I never understood why people say people can spoil stuff for them. That just means that you follow the crowd of what people are thinking. Because somebody could tell me something, tell me a movie from beginning to end, and when I watch it, I may have a completely different opinion. So nobody's going to tell me what to think about anything or how to feel about something. Because I can get to a certain part in a book and be like, oh, okay, I can see what they were talking about and how they came to that conclusion. But boom, I feel this way about it. Um, so one person said about the series that I'm talking about, she's like, we're in our 30s, or almost in our 30s. Why are we still writing about high school romance? Nobody wants to read about 16-year-olds having sex or 17. Like, we're 30. Let's write about adults. Let's get out of the high school era. But that is just going back to that's really her writing style. Like, when you read her books, you know what I'm talking about. And I mean no disrespect, but she writes about kid love. Even if she does write that they're like 25, that's the thing. I don't think she's ever written about a couple that's over 30. I don't think. Because I'm trying to think. Maybe his Gangster Love saved me. I think he was like 31 or 32, so a little bit over 30. But she writes about kids. Because only, honestly, like, teenage, like 18 to 24 would be the only people who really find this kind of relationship attractive and will want something like this. You know what I mean? Um, but it's just like at some point, when is your writing gonna mature? And if anything, I think she was a part of the Leo and Portia scandal. So maybe she doesn't have an editor anymore. because it just seems like the writing has gotten so much worse. And I just, after reading this series, I hope there isn't a part three. I think this was it, and I hope that it is. So, what is the name of? That's how bad it was. What's the name of the book? In Love with the Street Menace. Um, I think it's, what is it? Sorry, y'all. I should have had this pulled up. Um, what is it? Braydon and Jaxyn, which I don't understand why she put their names on it. Like it was specifically about them because it was about three couples. So three friends dating three cousins. But let's get into it. So, um, the guy cousins, they sell counterfeit money, and that's they hustle. And they live in a huge house with them, their auntie and their grandmother. Now all three cousins, none of their moms are worth anything. So, they don't talk to their moms, they don't see them, they don't speak to them, whatever, whatever. So while they're doing a drop one day, Brandon is shot. So when he's shot, he has to have physical therapy. Now, he's been sending every physical therapist out until Jaxyn comes along. So Jaxyn is his new physical therapist, and he's mean to her like he was mean to all the rest. Like, you could just get out. I don't need no help. And of course, she's the tough one that's going to stand up to him and say, you can do all that, but I'm still going to be here to help you. Whoop de whoop, whatever, whatever. So they start developing a friendship. And when the other two cousins see her, it's like, do you got friends? Introduce us to your friends. So that's how they all become a collective group, or branch off into each set of couples. So one couple, they both claim to be cheaters, so it's like, we can just have sex with each other, but we not gonna be an official relationship because it's just gonna end up with cheating. So it is what it is. And so, of course, they do that, but then one person always gets mad when the other person says that they're going to hang out with somebody else. And which it was so, I was so disgusted because it's like he calls her to hang out with him, and she's like, nah, I'm about to have one of my other niggas come over, so we can click up later. And it's like he gets upset, and then he goes over to a chick house and FaceTimes her and shows her that he's having sex with somebody else. So, she's looking at that nigga and she laughed, like she plays it off real well. So later on, she FaceTimed him back to her receiving head from somebody else. And this nigga gets so upset. It's like, what happened, Pooh? I thought, I thought this is what we was on. And that's another thing. Instead of, because you know how the new word of this year is stink. Everybody calling each other stink. Like, what happened, stink? She puts stank. I guess like trying to put her own spin on it. But it's just like, and that was every other word. Come on, stank. Why you acting like that, stank? It's like, girl, please. I want her to get an edit. I think that's what it is. She needs to expand, mature in her right, because it can still be hood writing, but like edge it out a little bit, make it a little bit more mature. Because I was, and that's why I'm kind of mad at myself, because I was like, why did I pick up part two when I know I could have been reading something else? But in me talking about her and how upset I am, I still want to support her, but that's not helping her. Because it's like, if you support the bad work, like they're not going to know that it's bad and it's something that they need to work on. And as a reader, I also should be able to give you criticism with without it seeming like hate. Because that's the one thing I want to make clear. I'm not hating on her, nothing like that. But we need to make your writing better. Because another thing, I think I've said this before too, and now I'm calling it out officially. She, Londyn herself, is a beautiful, I cannot stress that enough. She is a beautiful, dark skinned, heavy set woman, but I do believe that she has self hatred about herself. Because all of her main characters, especially the women, are light skinned. They're light skinned, they have this long hair all the way down to their butt, and they're mixed with something other than black. It's like, yeah, they're black, but they're also mixed with something else that makes them pretty. Because, like, those Savage series with everybody named starting with a K, it's like the brothers and the sisters' names started with a K, and the brothers all have blue eyes. Um, and then the sisters were Italian, so they had pretty curly hair, and it made them quote unquote exotic, which I hate that fucking word. And then his Gangsta Love Saved Me, the series I keep talking about that I did another review about. Um, what was her name? What was her name? I forgot. It was a season or something, but she was mixed with Irish, I believe. So, she had that red hair, and she was so light you would have thought she was white, but she was actually black. So it's just like you never have a leading lady that is dark skinned. Cause what was her name? Aboya, who was her best friend, she was like a dark skinned girl, but then you had her boyfriend who was light skinned, and that's all they ever talked about was him being light bright and being cute. And it's just like I just want you to love yourself. Because from her writing, you would not think that she loves herself or has love for dark skinned women. Um, and I hate that. Because even in this book that I'm talking about, I think one of the friends, the girlfriends, she was dark skinned, but they didn't talk about that too much. Like she maybe mentioned it once or twice, but in every other chapter or discussion about Jaxyn, you're hearing about how she's mixed with Asian and she looks like Janae Echo, like she could be her twin and she has this long hair. And it's just like, okay, girl, that's not the only version of cute that can be described out here. Um, and I know she's from Detroit. And that's another thing that like drew me to her because in a few of her books she's mentioned my city, which is Grand Rapids, so it's like we're only 2 hours away from each other. So it's like I definitely gotta support my sister in that. But at this point, enough is enough. And I have been contributing to the bad behavior and bad writing, but no more. We gotta do something else. And a lot of this story is just sex, and I don't describe the graphic scenes. It's just like if you've read one sex scene, you've read them all. But that's the majority of the book. Just a lot of sex, 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 sex. And then for some reason, Jackson's ex pops back into her life, saying he wants to explain himself and them talk. And it's just like if because the way she describes it, they broke up in a terrible way. So him coming back and just saying he wants to explain himself, and she's still in love with him, but she didn't want to admit that out loud. And then she has this thing that she's building with um what's his name? See, look, Brandon and our Braydon. And then you lied to him, telling him like, "Oh, I'm going out to dinner with friends. I'll catch up with you later." And you already know that he has a complex because he has a thing about women lying to him and doing him bad, reverting back to his mama. So when he catches her out with the ex and they're kissing, it's over. It's over before it can even start. And of course, as soon as she sees him, she realizes that she doesn't want to get back with the ex. She wants him. So that's the end of the first book. So the second book is him not talking to her, not having anything to do with her. But then the grandmother gets shot. So she's the grandma's physical therapist. And given very much two could play that game. It's like she reverses the roles. Like she's not begging to talk to him or wanting to have anything to do with him. And of course, he don't like that because when she comes in, like she's not giving him no eye contact, like not paying him no attention. So of course, he his get back is having sex with her but not talking to her, which I found to be so disgusting. It's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna constantly have sex with you and make sure that I release my seed inside of you, which is so weird because it's like you have sex with her, you come inside of her trying to get her pregnant, but you don't want to talk to her. Make that make sense? It doesn't. Um, so yeah, when she gives him a taste of his own medicine, then he finally wants to talk and tell her, why would you play me like that when I made it clear da 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 da. And so she explains herself like, I just wanted to hear what he had to say, but I knew when we sat down that I wasn't gonna do anything with him. But it's like childish. These are children. They're just children. They're like 18 and 19. I don't want to read about children who can't communicate and who only know how to communicate through sex. It's like it's boring. It's tired. Please do something else. I'm so frustrated because it's like, girl, you have potential. I've read other books that I love, but it seems like you are going backwards and the shit is awful. Um, but anyway, in the end, they have enemies throughout this book, but it really doesn't matter because they don't. It just seemed like shit that was threw in just for the sake of throwing it in. So they have enemies that they're competing with, but of course, in the end, they kill them and they're of no consequence. And they have people helping them, kind of like their big brothers in the background who take care of things when they need to be taken care of. But who cares? Like, who cares? Who cares? Who cares? Um, and I hate to sound like this, but I have to get this out. I'm just so frustrated. Who cares? So in the end, all the couples are moving in together. It's great. It's lovely. And Jaxyn did wind up pregnant, and so did another one of the couples. They're having a baby as well, and the other couple is just taking it slow. I just, Londyn, I want better for you, sis. I really do. I want so much better for you. Okay, that's it. That's all. Um, I really don't have too much. Like, it's not gonna be well thought out, well talked about, because another thing was me skipping through some of the pages, but I had to talk about this and get my frustration out. And I didn't want every episode to just be oh, I loved it. It was amazing. This. When I'm reviewing books, I also want to talk about what could be better as well. But yeah, that's all I have to say. Let me know what you guys think, and I hope to see you back next week because we are jumping back into the Beloved series and what's the book called? In His Possession 2, where which one is this? Assad and what was her name? Scarlet? I think so. Like it's they're getting married. So I hope to see you guys back. Peace and blessings. Mwah.